Good Monday evening to you, and welcome to the July 13th edition of Beyond the Headlines. Wherever you are across the GBN platforms, we welcome you to the broadcast, all of you listening and viewing. I'm Brenda Batiste, sitting in for Colin Dowe this evening. Tonight, we discuss the nation's preparedness for the hurricane season. We'll examine our state of preparedness, resiliency, and/or related developments as it relates to getting ready for the season of 2026. Our subject experts tonight, Dr. Terence Walters. He is the National Disaster Coordinator at NADMA. Mr. Gerard Tamer, the Manager of Grenada Meteorological Office, and the Officer in Charge of Operations for the RGPF, Superintendent Frank Farre. Good evening, gentlemen, and welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you, all of you here.
Yes.
Thank you. Sure. It's really nice to be seeing you, especially Mr. Tamer. Don't feel slighted, huh? All right. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Tamer, from the Met Office point of view. You know, we're in the season now, things are happening, and you hear people saying all the time, boy, the weather is not like it used to be. Yeah. Is that just perception, or is there any data that supports that sort of saying?
Okay, Brenda, good evening to you, good evening to all the listeners, viewers. There's a lot of truth in that statement. Well, I guess everybody's hearing about climate change, and the climate is changing. Yes, things are changing. We are seeing things changing, and there is evidence to support that. Okay, and the global temperature is rising. Okay, even here in Grenada, our local temperature is rising compared to what it was like 20 years ago. We are definitely seeing the trend here in Grenada. We have quite a lot of fluctuation in our rainfall pattern. Now we are now in July, so for the last 11 months, the last 12 months actually, we experienced below normal rainfall in Grenada. Okay, so things are indeed changing. Okay, and people are observing it. Well, we human beings, God blessed us with that intelligence to observe it, and so yes, things are changing. A lot of the traditional practices are not as useful or they are no, because the things are changing. The rainfall pattern has been changing. The temperature is changing. Everything with the atmosphere has changed in the last 50 or so years. So yes, the weather actually is changing.
Yeah. So we're actually on to something. It's not perception.
It's not perception.
It is reality.
It's reality. Definitely.
Dr. Walters, you pick up from where Mr. Tamer left off, and in terms of the National Comprehensive Plan for Disaster Management, because based on what he's saying, we're no longer talking about just hurricanes. You know, there's so much more. So let's expand on that and talk to us about our preparedness from your point of view.
Yes, well, thank you, and good evening to you, Brenda, and to all the viewers and listeners. So here we are, and we're talking comprehensive disaster management, which is simply put the management of all hazards through all of the phases, before, during, after, and we can talk mitigation and all of that, preparedness, by all people. Importantly, all people. So it's the all-hazard approach. No longer are we just focusing on hurricanes, but we know all the other hazards, both natural and the man-made. Okay, so the natural ones, you have the earthquake and tsunami, flood, landslides, and the hydrometeorological, the storms and so forth. So we have all of those to deal with, plus the man-made hazards, all right? And it's the management of all of the hazards. And we're talking now before it happened, during the process, what we do, and then after. Because before, you need to prepare. You prepare for it, and prepare with your plans, and prepare households, communities, and all of that. During, what do you do during the event? Okay, and then after the event, okay, you respond, and then afterwards, you have the relief, and you have your recovery and all of that. And we need to sit with our people all people, not just the police or the people at NADMA or sometimes we say the government, right? You know, people like to talk about the government, right? So it's not just these specific groups, but every single one from the household go right up. Okay, so comprehensive disaster management is the management of all hazards through all phases by all people. And that's our focus at NADMA, that's our focus in Grenada, that's our focus in the region with CDMA, right? Our focus is comprehensive disaster management. So there we go, and we're taking all the steps necessary at NADMA to ensure that we focus heavily on comprehensive disaster management.
Right. If I may follow up, here we are, and we're in July 13th. So the hurricane season started June 1st. So we're in the season. So you talked about comprehensive before, during, after. Just talk to us about how the before, because we're at the before phase now, so to speak, because we have not had an event.
Right.
So what does the before, what did that look like for us?
Just for the hurricane season we're talking about.
Correct.
So, I mean, before the hurricane season, we do a lot of training. Now, sometimes people say during the hurricane season, that's your busy period. No, my busy period is before the hurricane season. Except there's an event during the hurricane season, then you're really busy. But before the hurricane season, we do our shelter inspections, all right, from January to April, our shelter inspections. We do training. We have to ensure that our shelter managers are in place and that we have supplies. We do our stocks to ensure that that if something happens, we can respond, ensure that our district groups are in place. We have all of those things to do, and that's in preparation for the hurricane season. We're preparing for the hurricane season. But while we're doing that, we're preparing for any of the other hazards that can occur. Okay, because just if we go back to 2024, in February, we had two events at the same time. There was the oil spill off Tobago, and at that same time, we had the Kickham Jenny. There was elevated activity at Kickham Jenny. So can you imagine us having to deal with an oil spill and an eruption of Kickham Jenny at the same time? That will definitely stretch our resources. So we have to again remember that we live in a multi-hazard environment that we need to be prepared for year-round.
Right. Yeah. Superintendent Furey, picking up off preparedness, as we were saying, you're supposed to prepare before the emergency. So from the RGPF standpoint, in terms of preparation before the emergency, what are you engaged in? What does that look like?
Thank you, Brenda. I'm happy to be here. For the RGPF, we work close together with NADMA. And I must say that everything NADMA do, we are not ignorant about it because of that close relationship. So for us in the RGPF, we have a program that we follow every year before start of hurricane period. From February, our preparedness starts from February. So within February to May, we will check our plan, we will review our hurricane plan. Each divisions, we have 4 divisions in the RGPF. And each division commander are responsible for reviewing that plan. Especially, let's say, if we had a system the year before, that will be relatively important to review that plan. We'll also test our equipment, check to see the kind of equipment that we have that is feasible for whatever hazard or weather system that may face us, during the year. And most importantly, we will, from April to June, then we will embark on our simulation exercise. That is relatively important. So and I'm so happy to say that we already completed our simulation exercise with all the divisions, which is the Northern Division, the Western Division, the Eastern Division, and the Central Division. Because it is very important for the Commissioner to know that all the divisions are relatively prepared in case of a system. And also we work together with NADMA and also a simulation exercise. And when Mr. Walters mentioned earlier on about you could have different things happening at the same time, that is what we practice, right? We had accident, you know, and then was the hazard and things like that. So see how responsive we can be, right? You know, in the case that we have multiple things taking place at the same time. So basically that's where we are from February to June.
Yeah, I must go on record to congratulate you for the communication of those simulations, because we knew, the public knew. It was on social media, you heard it on radio, the news, so you guys did a good job communicating that.
Yes.
But it's good.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. We appreciate the sentiments.
Mr. Tima, we're hearing a lot about El Nino and Nina, and of course it's hurricane time. How is that impacting, you know, what's happening this season?
Okay, well, excuse me. The El Nino phenomena is one of the crucial elements that the scientists use to come up with the hurricane forecast. Now, basically, let me get the 30-second version. El Nino basically works on this simple scientific idea that hot air rises. Okay? So in the equatorial Pacific, okay, there's a body there of warm water. Now the equatorial Pacific is a vast ocean, so we're talking about a couple thousand square miles, okay, but it's a body within it. Okay? And what we have noticed is that body of water, based on its temperature, affects global weather systems. Okay? So for us in the Caribbean, okay, when the temperature is warmer, okay, what happens is that you will have the hot air rising. It goes up into the atmosphere, it gets caught in the westerly winds, that's the winds moving from west to east, and it cools and it comes down in our area. So what that does for us is that is one of the things that suppresses tropical cyclone formation in our region. Okay? So the El Nino phenomena is a good thing for us in this part of the world. The people in the eastern Pacific, and that's like on the western side of Central America, North America, is bad for them. It's bad for them. Right. Okay, it actually enhances their season. Okay? So El Nino is good for us in our part of the world, because I said it creates what we call shade. That means winds moving at different directions at different levels in the atmosphere. So it is good for us. And the El Nino phenomenon is really actionable this year. It has been getting increasingly warmer. Okay? And the prediction is by the time we get to the heart of the hurricane season, which is August into September, okay, it will be pretty hot, okay, and then that will help us suppress our hurricane season, and that is why all the seasonal forecasts thus far have been going for an average to below average season for 2026, okay, and we of course are very happy to hear that, okay, but again, it doesn't mean that we have to put our guard down, because we can. It's only take one, and that one might just be a record-breaking system. Okay, so the forecast and the updated forecast as released just 2 days ago. Okay, now has us. And let me quote it here, like. Nine named systems. The average is 14, so it's 9 now. Okay, 4 hurricanes, 1 major hurricane. Okay, so that by tradition would be a very quiet season, or the focus is for a very quiet season. Okay, but we don't know where the one major one made.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we don't know where the one major one might hit.
The one that gets away.
The one that gets away, yes. Yeah. So El Nino, as I said, is that pool of water that causes changes in a lot of the weather patterns around the world.
Right.
Okay, we had someone from Japan here last weekend, and he was saying El Nino make their winter much colder. So it affects different parts of the world. Okay, but there's definitely a correlation, okay, with weather patterns and the range of temperature of that particular body of water.
As you raise the suppression effect of El Nino, the Sahara dust, what's the impact of that as well?
Well, the Sahara dust is both a friend and a foe to us in this part of the world. Okay? It's a friend because it also suppresses cyclone formation, okay? Because you can think of it like a sponge, like, you know, it absorbs the moisture in the atmosphere. Yeah, so many times you see tropical waves coming across, or you see something, an area of disturbed weather, and it runs into a plume of dust and it subsides. Okay? So from that angle, the dust is a friend to us. Okay, but of course, whenever the dust comes across, it causes health issues. You know, people with respiratory challenges, and so they have a terrible time with it. So we don't like it for that. But at this time of the year, we actually love it. Yes, we actually love it because it's part of the suppressive mechanism that we experience. Yeah.
The downside is just folks dealing with respiratory issues and so on.
Yes. And of course, you know, you have to wash your cars more often and so
That's
forth.
okay. That's a minor detail in all of this. We can live with that, right?
Of course. Yes, of course.
Dr. Walters, now NADMA, big statutory body, all of that, fine things, lots of money in your budget. So are we now, and as you started earlier, are we now in the realm of preparedness and mitigation as opposed to being responsive and reactive?
Okay, so the statutory body, I mean, that has been in the air for a while, okay, but there's we have not gone fully statutory, okay. We have a board of directors, and they're working toward the transition, okay, which should take place hopefully at the end of the year, because you know it's a process that you have to go through that process, and so that's where we are. But since 2000, or since after Ivan, I should say, after Hurricane Ivan in 2004, okay, the agency, the organization recognized that the focus should no longer be on relief, on just responding and providing relief, but again, like I mentioned, comprehensive disaster management, because before it was, we had NERO, the National Emergency Relief Organization, so even CDEMA, all right, so when it was CDERA, right, and changed to CDEMA, management, okay, and then NADMA changed to management, so we realize it is, or it should be a focus on the management before, during, after, right, that whole management process. So all our plans are focusing on the management of these hazards and looking at both natural and man-made. And then there's the issue of early warnings. All right, and we had a forum last week looking at multi-hazard early warnings for all. We have to be mindful that these hazards occur, and how can we provide early warnings so that people can make decisions that can save lives, reduce damage and to the properties, right? We must give people the information. So that's a conversation that will continue, because with the early warnings, we're talking about people who are hearing impaired, visual impaired, and other forms of inability, disabilities, and we need to provide early warning for them, early warning information. So for example, when there's a hurricane approaching, right, we're using hurricane because we're in a hurricane season. A hurricane is approaching and we get on the television, but what about the people who are hearing impaired? how do they get the message? Okay, visually impaired. Okay, I mean, yes, they may hear. You know, so we have to cater for all the groups. It's a challenging process. It's a process that requires quite a lot of work. All right, quite a lot of work to make sure we have early warnings for everyone.
Right.
But it is something that we have to tackle head on and ensure. I remember Hurricane Beryl. We did have somebody doing sign language, so the persons who were visual, who were hearing impaired, at least they could have, you know, they could have seen that. But then we have to go further than that. We have to go beyond that, and it will take time. It's not an overnight process. You don't just wake up one morning and say, we have everything in disaster preparedness. And again, I must emphasize that preparedness is a process that continues. Okay? It is a process that continues and continues. It does not end. Preparedness does not end. You have to continue preparing because things will change, times will change. You have to, new technology, new things happening. It is a process that continues.
Right, so you talk about process and preparedness. There's another P, because process, you say take time, but wouldn't you say priority as well?
All right. So yes. So we have in a lot of the instances we have to prioritize. Right. We have to prioritize because you have limited resources.
Yeah, because I bring that up for you to address the human capacity, because the operations you've outlined and the logistics required, what does the human capacity look like to achieve all of that?
That's right. Okay, so the resources limited: human resource, financial resource, other resources, your equipment, you know, all of those things, and you have to prioritize at times. And the human capacity that's required. Now we can probably a little later on we can talk about volunteerism, because that's a major part of it. All right, but what I want to focus on here is the fact that we need people who understand that disaster management, disaster risk reduction, it is you can make a career out of it. Yeah. Before, what happened is that when whichever administration in office want to punish somebody, and I mean we can say that because we know it. They send them to NADMA. Go up in NADMA, and right? that happened before. Okay, go up to NADMA, right? No, that was a lot of years gone by, right? That happened. But now, okay, now we're realizing that it is a specialized.
It is.
Right. It's a specialized area, and you need a certain kind of personality, okay, to work in disaster management, right? You need to be brave. You need to be able to make decisions. You need to. It takes a lot. You need to be focused. You need to be prepared to be on this job 24/7. Not get up 8 to 4 and figure 4 o'clock I'm done with this, right? It's throughout the night, throughout the day. It's holiday. It's weekend. It's all the time. Disaster management. You need a specific kind of people who can manage all of those things to work in disaster management.
It's very interesting you brought that up. I read recently in Forbes that it is one of the careers in disaster management is one of those that would kind of outlive the AI boom, if you will. So
yes.
it's interesting that you brought that up.
So I just want to make this point here for younger people who may be looking on that disaster management. You can make a career out of it. It's very interesting. It's very dynamic, and you learn a lot. You get to meet a lot of people. You get to do a lot of things, experience a lot of things. It is a wonderful place to be. Okay, it is a wonderful place to be, and there are lots of opportunities in disaster management. So if you're looking on tonight, you're listening tonight, yes, disaster management, I encourage you, go study, go get yourself qualified and come back. We need people who can take this forward.
So we're very proud that we have some Grenadians. We hear their names mentioned constantly across the region. Like
That's
yourself,
right.
Dr. Walters,
Yes.
Sylvan McIntyre,
That's right. That's
George
right.
Thomas Gillies.
Yes.
You know, just a few.
Yeah.
We really don't have enough, but you
Yes.
know, you three are the names that stand out.
Yes, and I mean there are some some younger people in some of like Red Cross and the Adra and different areas like Yak and who are coming up, who have been involved, right? But we need a lot more interest and people getting involved in disaster management. And there are some people in the Royal Grenada Police Force also who have who have been working hard in disaster management and who have some training. Okay, so there are some people coming up, but we definitely need more.
Right. Superintendent Furry, what roles would you say should communities play? Because you're RGPF, you really have a wide span on this thing. The symbiotic relationship with NADMA, but then you're still national security and safety and all of that. So what role should communities play in all of this?
Well, I could use when Ivan for probably to start from there. Because if you remember Ivan, everything was more or less chaotic. And the community, let's say in terms of direction, law enforcement wise or disaster wise, we were just doing things, based on how we see things. So the community, what we were requesting from the community to partner with us, in reference to safety and security, right? We will give tips together with NADMA, how you should let's say protect your property, right? Safety tips in protecting your property, your assets. In the case of, let's say, your property get damaged and things like that, give you tips to protect. Also, let's say if we get struck with God forbid we get struck with let's say whatever disaster. We request of people to, let's say, stay put and let the security personnel, the health persons, more or less out there, to do what is necessary to make things safe for the general public. Because we don't want to be in a position where that the emergency people outside and the public, we more or less kind of are wrestling with the public in terms of the public doing their own thing and the emergency people trying to restore some form of normalcy. So the public have to be aware. They have this kind of awareness, that safety and security is relatively important. And everybody have to play their part. And let's say using that kind of opportunity to go there and want to loot or steal or rob somebody, we don't want to encourage this, because at the end of the day, when everything's settled, the law have to take its course, and that's when people will be arrested, take to court and things like that, and really and truly, nobody want to really be in that sort of a position. Right. So the communities have to be sensitive enough, right, to understand that a time like this is a time for everybody to play their role, right, including the emergency people, right, because on the law enforcement side, when something happens, we out there first. We will seize the ground and control things, right, to prevent any kind of a chaotic situations.
Right.
That is our main focus, to be out there as quick as possible, to more or less dominate the ground, so to speak.
Strong words. But just to build on that, though, I'm sure there was so much that you learned from Hurricane Ivan.
Yes.
So I know when people hear words like dominate, and so they probably like, but it's because of that experience. Yes.
So
that has made you, has put you in this where you are now.
Yes, and I must say, Ivan taught us, I would say it was a good lesson, meaning that we were able to more or less develop a comprehensive disaster plan. Right, looking at all the mistakes that took place around that time, and I must say that we are fortunate enough, and our plan is more or less coveted by the other RSS member state, you know, based on the structure and how we do things, you know, and we are there in the shortest possible time. So Ivan put us, we sat down and we look at everything from start to finish. And there we come up with every phase of the bulletin. We have we have a role to play. Every phase. So when Mr. Tema send the information out, you know, it comes to Mr. Walters here, he filtered to us, then we put things in action. Right? So we are not, let's say, we've cut with our pants down, basically, you know, we are there and we are ready, you know, to make sure that our country is relatively safe.
Yeah, Ivan wasn't just only about us building back better. It made us better.
It made us better, so to speak. Yes, so to speak. Yes, it made
we no longer have the laissez-faire attitude, because you gentlemen, you're under a lot of pressure. I mean, these days when some rain fall and you go on social media, when Adma, you know. So, Mr. Tema, talk to us about the protocol of it. I just use a big word to say how the thing go, right? Who signals what? Was the, you know, where does the first notice come from? Where does it go before we get it? What happens?
Okay. Well, the protocol we have in place is this. First of all, we have what we call an area of interest around Grenada. Okay, and for those of you who are positioned in Savvy, and we go from 40 degrees west to 65 degrees west. Okay, so that area here, okay, from 10 degrees north to 20 degrees north. So you could imagine a triangle. Okay, sorry, not a triangle, a rectangle. Okay, so any area of disturbed weather within that box, okay, we pay extra attention to it. The first thing we call is NAGMA, say, hey, look, this is happening here, we are monitoring it. Okay? Okay? No, that doesn't go out to the public as yet, okay, but within the disaster management community, okay, we are looking at it. Okay? Now, once we deem that we will get some sort of adverse disruption, like heavy rainfall, thunder and lightning, possible flood, and so. But then we start issuing the you know, the communication on the particular system. Okay. Now, are we not talking yet about storm watch or warnings? Okay, just a regular thing. Okay. Okay. So that goes out to NAGMA. Okay. Now, NAGMA is the agency in charge, responsible for alerting the nation, and okay, so we send it to them, and they, with the media personnel and so forth, they develop a message for the nation, which would include the technical information from us and the other housekeeping, for want of a better term, information for the general public. Okay, so that is the protocol. Okay, now, some people might be on social media and might have it quickly and say, la 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 la, they better than the Met Office. That's fine, that's fine. But what goes out to the public is a tailored message for our nation.
Right.
Okay, and that's the important thing, because even if you look at some of the hurricane advisories and so, they're not very specific for our nation.
Right.
Okay, because they deal with a big scale. Okay, so what we do when we get those advisories, for instance, we take it and we strip it down, tailor it for our need. Okay, and in one advisory, there are actually different messages. Okay, one product may look at wind, one product may look at rainfall. So we take all of that, we strip it, and we come up with a nice package, which we say would be specially tailored for Grenada. A simple thing, normally they will say, tropical storm XYZ, 500 miles east of the Windward Islands. There's the Windward Islands. From Dominica to Grenada, the Windward Islands.
Correct. And extend out to Barbados, if you will.
Yeah, if you will, okay. Okay. Or sometimes, or most time, they give the positions east of Barbados, east of Barbados. No, for us, we rather to hear, or we can better see in our mind's eye, 300 miles east of Grenada, rather than 200 miles southwest of Barbados. You know,
when that really, really rang true, Beryl.
Yeah.
Because we were hearing it was coming, and Grenada, the size of it was going to be covered. You know, the weatherman on YouTube, who I love, and of course, you know, the hurricane watchers, and so they was covering the expanse of Grenada. But then when you gave the last report, or two before the last, before we were told to hunker down, and so, and you actually gave the coordinates and where this was, I knew Carrick was in trouble. Yeah, I knew Carrick was in trouble. I think you specifically spoke about the north of Grenada. You really honed in on the north of Grenada. Yeah. So that specificity was important.
Okay. Yes. So I mean, it's a good time to inform the public that there is a protocol in place. Okay. And we just ask you to be a little patient, because sometimes the little delay you get, okay, is actually the information coming out will be much better for you, for us, the local people, okay, because it is particularly tailored.
So somebody watching their TV now and asking, who said the information is much better? Why you can't get it where we get it?
Well, no, I'll tell you, and I'll go back to it again. When you have things like advisories and so forth, okay, let's say something comes from the Hurricane Center, so you know they deal with a bigger scale. Okay. Even if there's just an area of disturbed weather, what we actually do is that we go into our things and we measure it. You know?
Right.
So we actually giving you X amount of miles from Grenada and so forth, rather than just giving you a longitude and latitude. Okay, we give you the longitude and latitude, but we will give you, you know, specific more details.
Yeah.
Okay? So that the ordinary man in the street could better form a picture in his mind.
The pathway of the storm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I may add, Brenda, you know, what I say to people is that, okay, you get the information, you get all information from everywhere. Okay, go ahead, take your information, because we're not stopping you. We can't stop you from, you know, taking information from, but pay attention to what the Met Office and NADMA are saying. Pay attention, because we're giving you the local stuff right here. You know, so we always do that. But then when it comes from Mr. Tamer, it goes directly to us and NADMA, and we continue from there. Right. So when we get the information, so we have to inform the public, and then we inform like the council, which is headed by the Prime Minister, the PS and National Security, and several other government officials.
When is that triggered?
All right. So the council, once we get notification that there's a threat, we inform the council. If we think there's a need for a meeting, we call a meeting. But if ever we go under watch, all right, so if we think we'll go under watch, we can call a meeting before that, based on what is happening. Okay, based on what is happening, but the council is always kept informed. If we're under watch, definitely the council will be meeting. Right, we'll be meeting to make decisions. The Met Office is a permanent member of the council, and they must be there when we meet. And so we'd get updates and we make decisions, just like we did it with Beryl. Okay, and what happened in Beryl, we practiced that over the years with our exercises. Okay, we practiced, okay, if we were under threat, we need to have, you know, the press briefings and so forth. We practiced all of that. And so we got to do it, right? We got to actually do it for Beryl. So then we give the public information. We also have to deal with Grenada, Carriacou, PT Martinique, but our sub-regional focal point, that's through CDMA, is Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, so we have to inform them. We have to inform CDMA, and in the background, a lot of coordination is taking place between us and CDMA. CDMA wanting to find out what we need. We have to put them on standby and tell them, okay, well, we need this, we need that, we have this, we don't have that. So there's a lot of meetings taking place behind the scenes that people will not necessarily see. Okay, a lot taking place. Your head is hot, right? Whole day, you're on the ball all the time, right? And then you have to be reporting to the PM and his team, and so it's a lot happening, and we also have to deal with our district committees. Okay, because they now have to deal with the shelters. We have to activate our shelters. We have, and I'm provide little resources for the shelters that, we talk about shelters. People are supposed to go to the shelter with their supplies, but then that's another story. Okay.
After the break, but just before we go to break, though, just being a fly in the ointment, if you will, why would we get the 2 p.m. update at 2:45?
Right. Tema, you want to go? You go, Tema.
At 2:45. No, that delay could be caused by a number of factors. Okay. One, sometimes is the time take to process everything. Okay, because you don't only just make the update is not only just a written text. Okay.
Right.
It has implications too. Okay. So sometimes you have to tread a little cautiously on what you say and how you say. Okay. But we do try to get it out as soon as possible. So at 2:45. That might be a rare occurrence, but not a standard thing. It's not a standard thing. No, that cannot be a standard thing.
Yes.
But I know at times there have been some delays. Okay. Then again, remember too, at that time of the day, or that time of the event, our office is hot too, okay? So.
But listen, the flies in the ointments don't care about the hot seat.
I know.
They want the information.
They want the information. Yeah, but 2:45, I can't see it happening. But if ever it happened, it had to be a very rare occasion.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening.
One thing here, Brenda.
Sure. Superintendent.
The bulletin is so important and vital to us, from the Met Office to Mr. Walters to the RGPF, because that's how we activate our plan. Because Ivan taught us, because I remember Ivan, everybody had information. Everybody on the internet, or they giving their own advisory and things like that, but we learned to stick to the protocols from the Met Office to Mr. Walter, and that's how we activate our plan. So without the information coming from that reliable source, we wait until that credible information comes, then we start moving.
Right. So the commissioner will convene the ops,
that's right,
the head of the division.
That's right.
You begin.
So based on the location and the strength, then we start activating our plan phase by phase.
Sounding like a well-oiled machine, except sometimes in the event, it doesn't feel like that, right?
Yes.
It's Beyond the Headlines. We are discussing hurricane preparedness and just comprehensive disaster management in the state of Grenada. Of course, we have some industry experts here with us, some gentlemen who've been through the fire, and they actually, it's not just book sense here, they walk the walk, so they're talking the talk. We take a quick break, we'll be right back.
At Grenlick, we believe in the peace of mind that comes from preparation. Preparation is your first defense against natural disasters. First, create an emergency plan and ensure everyone knows it. Second, stock up on solar and battery-powered lights, chargers, and secure essentials. Install a transfer switch on your generator to prevent power from flowing onto Grenlick's lines. Third, wear safe. Trim trees that may fall and damage power lines. Preparation saves lives and property. Be ready. Grenlick, energizing our Grenada.
Are you looking for a reliable, affordable, and customer-friendly pharmacy? Look no further than Hills and Valley Pharmacy, the nation's leading healthcare products and services provider. We are committed to serving you at convenient locations. Find an extensive and affordable selection of prescription and over-the-counter drugs and medical supplies at Church Street, Hillsborough, Carriacou, Jubilee Street, Grenville, St. Andrew, near the bus terminal, and Halifax and Grenville Street, St. George. Our committed team is always available to offer valuable assistance for managing your health and wellness. Discover the additional benefits of our wholesale distribution on Halifax Street and our Medcare Center on Grenville Street, where we provide in-house physiotherapy, massage therapy, doctor consultations, and eye care services. Our commitment is to satisfy all your healthcare needs, including competitive prices, loyalty rewards, and special discounts for seniors. Contact us at 435-6904 and WhatsApp 535-4734. Choose Hills and Valley Pharmacy. Remember, your health is our business.
We search for brilliance, looking far, asking wide, not realizing it's been right here all along. Makers, storytellers, dreamers shaping color, rhythm, and vision into something only Grenadians can create. But for too long, we've been working in the dark, hidden, overlooked, out of reach. Until now, Dowe's Creative Directory brings everyone, creatives, businesses, and the community into one connected space. Find the artist who understands your vision, the jeweler whose craft speaks for itself, the storyteller and musician whose work reflects who we are. Visit us at creativeaffairs.gov.gd. Your next collaboration is only one search away.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. We thank you so much for joining us this evening. At this juncture, we invite your phone calls as well. Before we run out of time, I know folks will have questions for our panel here, and what we're discussing this evening is of great national importance. So the number to call is 440-1252. 440-1252. Our phone lines are open and you can call in as we continue our discussions here with the gentleman. Superintendent Foray, when the events, and I call them events, but I don't want to say, I don't like words like disaster, but it is what it is. But when the events, in terms of security, the areas that the RGPF moved to secure first, what are the priority? Which infrastructure, what is it? What happens?
Well, we start in terms of security with the head of state, obviously, the Governor General, the Governor General, key other ministerial installation. We will secure this, and it will trickle down to key, let's say, supply centers, and there's a reason for that. Now, in the event that, let's say, we get struck with a system, now the area that we secure, it is vital importance to the population of Grenada in terms of foodstuff and otherwise, right? So once we protect that and we secure it, we prevent looting, people breaking and entering. So when things get to a normal state, then operation to continue as normal. And we learned that from Ivan.
Oh, yes.
And we have a term where we use as, it's a pre-deployment position, really. And we say forward deployments. And we will go into that position before the blow of the hurricane. And we'll hunker down there, then after the blow, then we come out and we secure the premise. And we have an excellent relationship, I must say, with those business persons that we secure their premise. And as a matter of fact, they will call us even before we contact them because it's of vital importance. You know, it's of vital importance.
It's muscle memory, you know.
Yes,
it's
yes,
muscle memory.
yes,
Triggers right away.
Yeah, definitely. So we have this relationship, and in terms of sustenance and otherwise, we don't have to worry about the men that will be in that position. They will take care of all that.
Right.
So by doing that, we realize it works. Right, and I remember when we did the simulation exercise, Mr. Walters, earlier on this year, you know, and we had one in front by Foodland. Yes, and I was explaining it to the gentleman, and he was more or less kind of amazed, you know, in terms of, you know, we put in this this forward plan in place, you know, and protecting his interests. You know, the idea was protecting his interests, but really and truly, we're looking at the bigger picture. Really, obviously. We're looking at the nation on a whole, in terms of at the end of the day, you know, there is enough sustenance, you know, to really.
How does the early declaration of a state of emergency bolster your operations? Because I think that was one of the threats coming out of Ivan, with all the issues we had. So in Burial, there was an early state of emergency call, and trust me, I appreciated that. But people did raise concerns about it. But how does that bolster your plans?
That helped us to more or less activate and exercise our plan freely, because we'll have less obstruction, less people in the way, you know, so that we could move about, you know, as we ought to. So the population have to understand, you know, in things like that, we looking at the safety and security of our nation. That is what law enforcement seeing. That is what we're seeing. These two things: safety and security. So all what we do, all what we put in place is to ensure that the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petitmatic safe. Your business safe, your home safe. You know, at the end of the day, when everything settles down, you know, we more or less in an advanced position, you know, in terms of basic necessities and things like that. Yes?
Right. So we don't have too much mopping up from the real mop-up.
Definitely, definitely.
Just to add here, the state of emergency gives the government additional powers. Okay, because there are some things that you want to do, you need to have a state of emergency, like imposing a curfew and so, right? So, so yeah, it's important, right? And we've learned over the years. And I just want to share, when I was deployed to Tortola in 2017 after Hurricane Irma, what I noted is that the large supermarkets were intact, so that people could then go and purchase water and food and everything. But if you loot out everything, then there's nothing for you to go purchase, and you understand? So it is important that we secure those installations to ensure that the population has access after the event.
Talking about access, shelters. There are some preconceived notions about shelters. I think sometimes when we're told that we have to go to a shelter, people think we're going to a restaurant, right? But talk to us about shelters, and also some sort of awareness, if you will, as to how a shelter is chosen.
Okay, so your first shelter is a home. Second, family, friends. Last resort, the public shelters. Good. We have a team made up of an engineer, public health person, housing, right? It's a team of persons that go to the shelters from between January and April. They inspect all the buildings, and then they decide, okay, these can be used during an event, and these others. So we have primary and secondary, but we just call them general emergency shelters, right? And we put out that list, okay? But there's a reserve list that can be used after the event if they would stand. Good. So that's how the shelters are chosen. So it's a team of people. So it's not just me or somebody just going and say this is a shelter. It's a team. They inspect, they look at everything, and then they say this one can be used, that one can be used. Okay. So we have that process in place. In terms of people going to the shelter now, that's another story. We invite people to the shelter whenever the government will decide, or at NADMA we'll decide, okay, the NEAC, National Emergency Advisory Council, will say shelters will be open at midday or 3 o'clock or whatever time, and then people can go to the shelters. There's a shelter team, a shelter management team there, and you go, you're registered, but you're supposed to go to the shelter with 2 to 3 days supplies. We ask you to go to the shelters because these shelters are churches, community centers, schools. Okay, so they're not equipped with all necessary food, etc., etc. So we ask you to go there. Now we know that there are some people who may not be able to bring anything to the shelter, so we would do what is necessary to provide, some basic supplies. But we encourage people to go to the shelter, and please don't expect a hotel. All right, please do not expect a hotel room. All right, and the shelter management team, okay, will have rules for the shelter. There are rules at the shelter. You can't go in with your pet, and some people feel that they must go and be able to sleep anywhere, anyway. The shelter team will tell you who can sleep where, because we have to protect people in the shelter. Right, we have to protect people there. So that's it with the shelter. But the shelters are normally open for let's say 48 to 72 hours, and if necessary after that, then it will remain open. But once the hazard, based on needs, the shelter will remain open. Okay, but it's temporary for 48 to 72 hours.
All right. All shelters are ready for this year?
Yes, we do have. We have published the list of shelters, and it's 112 shelters across Grenada, Carriacou, PT Martinique, and so we need at least 10 volunteers per shelter. So remember, that's over 1,000 volunteers that's needed for shelter management, because you have to work in 2 teams, 12-hour shifts. So you have 5 people working this 12 hours, 5 people working the next. Because if you have just one team of 5 persons, they can't work 24 hours.
So how are we recruiting and tooling those?
Right. So training. That's when I spoke about training. Okay, training people. Over the years, we've trained quite a lot of people in shelter management. And over the years, some people may have left, some people may have different things. So the people who are trained will lead the process, and then there are other people who they can mentor. So if we have 2 or 3 trained people in the shelter, then the other people, they would guide them as to how we manage this shelter. But definitely, we're always looking for people to work at the shelter, and so we encourage you, if you're viewing now, to volunteer with NADMA, to work at the shelter, to do some sort of voluntary work with National Disaster Management Agency.
How comfortable are you with the number of volunteers you have now for shelter management?
We definitely need more. But what we do, because you must have contingencies. In the event that you activate a shelter and you don't have enough people, you can pull from among the shelteries. Okay, people that you're comfortable with, people that you think can do the job. You pull from among the shelteries, and you guide them, and you manage the shelter.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Tima, storm watch, storm warning, trough, all of these. Can you just put those in chronological order for us? Thanks.
Okay. Well, these are terms that I really hope that most Grenadians have a basic understanding of. And one of the key for us surviving is that each one of us as citizens must be educated. And public education is something that, together with NADMA, we have been trying to do over the last 10 years, but I must say it has improved immensely, and the average Grenadian is now much more aware.
That was a game changer.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so the first thing we may notice is an area of disturbed weather, and we would call it just that, an area of disturbed weather. Okay. Generally, the first step in cyclonic development, yes, I use the word cyclonic development because it's a good teachable moment. Yeah, it's a tropical wave, okay, and a tropical wave is like a little dent in the atmospheric pressure on the surface, okay. Now, at this time of the year, we have them coming across. They pass every couple of days, and we've had some very active ones for the last month or so. Okay, you hear tropical wave. Everybody meets me. What causing this rain today, boy? A wave? Yes, it's a wave. Okay, okay. So that's generally the first step. Okay, and once the conditions are ripe, okay, once the atmospheric conditions are ripe, a wave will develop into a depression. Okay, a tropical depression. Okay? Now, a tropical depression means that there is a circulation around a center. Okay, and when you say circulation, I mean wind circulation. Okay, okay. So that is the first step of being a cyclone. So a depression is a baby cyclone. Okay, and once conditions are ripe, then conditions, the system develop. It means that the central pressure drops, the wind speed increases. Okay? And once the wind speeds reach 45 miles an hour, then it's a tropical storm. Okay? And that's like a mid-size, a youthful cyclone.
Okay.
Okay? Okay? And once conditions are nice again, it continues to develop, the pressure drops, the wind speed increases. So once it's reached 75 miles an hour, it becomes a hurricane. So that is a mature cyclone. Okay? Okay? And if conditions are good, it continues developing, and then you get a category 1, category 2, category 3.
Right.
Okay? So a hurricane is a mature cyclone. Okay? A tropical storm is a youthful one. A depression is a baby. They all are called cyclones. They all are cyclones.
Right.
Okay? Now, in different parts of the world, like for instance in the Pacific, they will call a hurricane a typhoon. Same thing. Same thing. They call that typhoon. Down in Australia, they call them willies or something. Okay, but it's the same structure. It's the same system.
Right.
Okay, just call different names in different parts of the world. Okay, and they all affect us. Well, we know how they affect us. Now, for the management part, now, once we see, or once there's a threat to a particular landmass, okay, you are put under watch and then under warning. So once the system is like 36 hours out from you, okay, whoever is your management agency, whatever, will put you under a watch.
And in our case, it's Trinidad, right?
Our case is Trinidad, okay? If it is a hurricane coming, you will put you under a hurricane watch, okay? We're 24 hours to go. When we know that you can see impact is imminent, then you go to a warning. Okay, so if it's a hurricane, you'll go to a hurricane warning. If it's a storm, you'll go to a tropical storm warning. For Beryl, for instance, by the time Beryl reached us, she was already a hurricane, so there was no storm watch and warning. It was hurricane warning. Okay. Just let me go back quickly. As you mentioned Trinidad, and this is a question I get asked a lot of time. Why Trinidad have to be involved? Why we have to get okay? And it's a fair question. It's a fair question. Okay. The thing about it is that Grenada does have the technical capacity to produce the watches and warnings for ourselves. We do have that. Okay. Okay. The reason why we can't do it is because of the governance structure of the region. Right. Okay. Now, Grenada is not a member of the World Meteorological Organization. Okay. Okay. Although we are almost there. No. Okay. So therefore, the structure of this organization have it as Trinidad have jurisdiction over Grenada. Now, many years ago, our own public forecast, we used to get it from Trinidad. Okay? Yes. Okay. But we have since evolved. We have gotten the staff. Okay. So that's no longer. Okay. So we can we can produce our own watches and warnings, but because we are not part of that system as yet, okay, the areas divided, there are forecast areas in this region, so Trinidad has jurisdiction for us, okay? But Trinidad doesn't wake up and just put us under like that, okay? They will do it in consultation with us.
Right.
Okay? But we are getting that autonomy. We are closer and closer to getting that autonomy. And it's not because of lack of capacity or technical know-how.
Tell us why we've never
It's just that we are not a member of the club, so to speak. Okay? So we haven't yet gained that independence, per se. Okay? But as discussions as early as today, okay, we are very close. We are very close. So I hope within the next month I can tell you we are there.
Well,
you will definitely hear it on the news.
You, as Director of Med Services, that has to be something that becomes your legacy, Mr. Tema.
Well, I mean, since I joined the service, and I remember people like Wayne Williams, James Gordon,
John Peters,
Hubert White, okay, David Robinson. I made them championing that cause since back then.
Really?
Since back then. But as I say, we are that much closer to it now, one step away.
That sounds like an exclusive, elusive club. But in the meantime, storms rolling in, right?
Storms rolling in, yes.
Interesting. We take our final break on Beyond the Headlines. We'll be right back.
The Grenville Cooperative Credit Union introduces its new digital platform, managing your finances at any time from anywhere.
As a part-time student, balancing work and studies can be a real challenge. But with GCCU's digital app, these worries are no more. My parents can now remotely transfer funds to my account and I can check my balance at any time, giving me the freedom to achieve my goals.
My days can be long and tedious. With this app, I can ensure my loan is paid on time, transfer funds to someone else's account, and check my balances. I don't have to rush to do business during my lunch hour or after work anymore.
With this app, I can request checks to pay my suppliers, letters for my business transactions. I don't have to leave my farm to go stand in line.
The Grenville Credit Union digital platform. It's convenient and secure banking right at your fingertips. Download the app today from the Play Store or App Store or call 442-8602, 459-4325 or 416-8467 for further information.
Planet, located at number 3 NIS Complex, specializes in everything for your children from newly born and upward. At Kids Planet, you will find clothing, school bags, hair accessories, sandals, shoes, strollers, car seats, bathtubs, baby bags, swings, walkers, playpens, and many more. So what are you waiting for? Hurry on down to Kids Planet and find what you have been looking for. Or call them on 444-3996 or 533-3996.
Sunrise Diagnostic Center is the place to visit for your medical laboratory test, ultrasound, X-ray, mammogram, ECG, and ultrasound guided and bone density test. Also available are COVID PCR and antigen tests. Most results are available within 24 hours. Sunrise Diagnostic Center is located at number 9 NS Building, Melville Street, St. George's, with sub-offices in Grand Anse, Wall Street, and Grenville, St. Andrew. Visit Sunrise Diagnostic Center today at any of their offices or call 440-3709 or cell phone 415-9522.
are back for the final moments of our program this evening. Our special guests discussing our disaster preparedness for the season. Dr. Terence Walters, the National Disaster Coordinator with NADMA. Mr. Jerry Tamer, he is the manager at the Grenada Met Services, or the Grenada Meteorological Office, and Superintendent Frank Ferre. He is the officer in charge of operations, RGPF. Gentlemen, we had Mr. Tamer, for you in particular, there's a lot of concerns about the amount of earthquakes and the movements, especially across the region. We were just talking off air daily. We are seeing a lot happening, a lot of movement of the tectonic plates in areas, Guadeloupe, Dominica, that side. And then Venezuela recently. That was pretty scary.
Yes, it was. It was. Over the last 6 months or so, our office being the we have a monitoring device, okay, and we can tell you we have seen a lot of tremors through the Caribbean. Some of them close us, you know, between Grenada, Tobago, between Grenada, Barbados, you know. The one in Venezuela last week was a particularly frightening one for us because of that magnitude. There was a potential for a tsunami generation, okay, and we although Grenada was not listed in the possible impact zone, okay, seeing how close that impact zone was to us, it was right on our doorstep. So within the disaster management community, we went on alert.
Right.
Okay, because we could have easily gotten another report saying that a tsunami was generated, and the affected area, or the potentially affected area, could have just encompassed us. So although nothing went out to the public in terms of taking action, but the disaster management community was very much aware and very much looking at that situation very closely. Okay? But Tonga, no tsunami was generated from the quake, so we all breathed a sign of relief after, but it was a powerful quake, and it was really close to home.
Interesting you raised that, though, because folks were concerned that there were a couple territories placed under tsunami watch, and we were not. How does that measured? What happens from when an earthquake happens? From the epicenter or from the location? What's the difference?
Okay. Well, in this particular case, okay, you would have seen notices go out to like the American territories in the region, Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands or so, okay, who are much further away from the epicenter than us, okay? And that is quite a logical question for people to ask. How come there was one for Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, and not for Grenada, okay, who are much closer, okay? And the thing about it, we have to remember who's sending out the notices, okay? Most of these agencies are American-based, okay? And quite naturally, they look out for their people, the American territories, okay? And you can't blame them. That is their first, maybe, priority, to serve their citizens, okay?
Right.
So they would send the notice out to their people, okay? They wouldn't send it to us. Okay, that's just how it works. Okay, but nonetheless, we were aware of it because of the reporting mechanism that's there. Okay,
right.
Just as how you have the Hurricane Center that monitors, you know, all the cyclones in the area, there's another center that monitors tsunami and so forth. So we are on that system, on that one system. Those notices would not go out to the public, but they will go out to what you call the local warning centers, okay, which we are at Met Office is for Grenada. Okay, so we would get that directly.
Right, and then
okay?
you would inform.
Yes, and then we inform. Okay, so we were in touch with the experts, so we know exactly what was happening. And as I said, we were monitoring very closely because the area, the potential area for effect was right on our doorstep. So we had NAGMA and everybody say, listen, we are looking at this. In case there is any development, we may need to ring that bell. But all for now, we're on the safe zone still.
Right, right. So we should feel encouraged that you can trigger a warning.
Yes, we can trigger a warning.
In case okay, wonderful. Next steps. I mean, if you had to, and I'll ask three of you this, if you had to give a policy directive, if you had the sole authority to give a policy directive, you know, say the Prime Minister just stepped aside and put you in his chair for, you know, for the day, right? And you had an opportunity to give a policy directive on, you know, next steps and where we go with this. Superintendent Foray, what would that look like for you?
Well, for the RGPF, when it comes for disaster or hazard or whatever, our sole thing is about safety and security. And we will more or less, based on the data that presents itself, you know, we will ensure that we advise the Prime Minister so that, for example, if we have to have a state of emergency, we will look at the information that comes from the Met Office based on the magnitude of the system. You know, we will have that policy in place. Once it reaches that level, then we trigger off a state of emergency, because that is very crucial for us in a time of a disaster. And in the event that things kind of get crazy here and there, you know, once it reaches that position, you know, the state of emergency should just kick in. You know, that's something I believe in my mind, you know, that the RGPF more or less will want to happen at every time. Once there is that state of emergency, there is a disaster, sorry, you know, the state of emergency naturally just kicked in. You know, so that's how I see it.
See, he didn't even step out of the realm or anything. He just stuck with the plan, even if he had the power for the day, right? Dr. Walters?
From where I sit, I can say that I have seen a lot of improvements in disaster management over the years. We now have our headquarters. We have one on Carriacou also, and we have a number of things, preparedness items that we did not have previously. We do have them now. Some more transportation and other things that we needed. One of the things that we have improved on is our communication, emergency communication, satellite phones, handheld radios, and so forth. But if I had to sit in the chair, I'll do basically two things. One, I will hire the complement of staff that's needed at NADMA, because we need to improve on the staffing and, you know, or human resource capacity. So I would make sure and hire the staffing that I think we need, a little more too, if you give me a chance, right? Okay. And the second thing, I will ensure that all ministries have a budget for disaster preparedness. All right, not necessarily a large budget, but a small budget, right? A small budget, so that the ministries can carry out disaster management activities, okay, at the ministerial level. We've started working with the ministries where they are preparing their multi-hazard disaster management plans, okay. We're like 60%, 65% through that process, okay. But I will make sure that each ministry has a budget specifically for disaster management activities.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I like that.
Those are my two. Okay.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Mr. Tamer?
Okay, well, I am big on public education. If I had the power, I would make it mandatory that all schools practice some sort of disaster drills. Okay, make that into the curriculum. Okay? Make it mandatory for business places, for ministries to have their own drills. Okay, so people know what to do, when to do, whenever that bell rings. Okay, we have to get that into people's psyche so that there is no panicking. Well, you know, to reduce panicking, for people to make informed decisions when under stress. Okay, everybody should know what the plan is. So whenever that bell rings, you know where to move to, what to do, what. Yeah, I want that to get into people's psyche more and become like second nature. Yes. Yeah, especially with the schools. Start with the schools so that they will grow with that for the future.
Yeah, it's done in China.
Yeah.
And it's a targeted way to do it as well. Yes. And you know, schools especially, they will go home and say, Mommy, this is what we have to do. Daddy, this is what we have to do. So yeah, targeted. Wonderful. Well, I hope somebody was taking notes tonight.
I hope so.
Thank you so very much. The phone calls did not come. I guess they were taking notes. That's a good thing. But you know, once we have an event, and they get excited. But that's okay. That's okay. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's been an absolute pleasure. This has been another edition of Beyond the Headlines. Our special guest this evening was Dr. Terence Walters. He is the head of the National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, officer in charge of operations with the RGPF, Superintendent Frank Ferre. He was with us as well. And Mr. Jerry Tamer, the manager of the Grenada Meteorological Office. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the conversation and everything you imparted here this evening. That's the program. Next week, Colin Dowe returns to the big chair, and when he returns, it's carnival time. Yeah? Vice versa. We'll be in that zone. It's been an absolute pleasure sitting in. Those of you wherever you joined across the GBN platforms this evening, listening and viewing. I am Brenda Batiste. So long.